Hi, fellow YouTubers. Just some incredible stuff here. Why anybody would even, you know, people don't realize how fraudulent everything is. This video is going to kind of cover quite a bit of stuff quickly here. Here's the Business Insider, an article from 2015, The Truth About the Hillary Clinton Russian Uranium Scandal. Notice how they put it in quotes, okay? So then we go and we look, and they put it right in the article. In addition, Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 in 2010 to give a speech to a Russian bank with ties to the Russian government. Um, why he isn't in jail for that is beyond me. And what it was in relation to was a number of investors basically were seeking approval that Uranium One had contractual control of some deposits. It was a Canadian company, and they wanted to give it to Rosatom, the Russian Atomic Energy Agency. Because Uranium One controlled uranium mines in the United States, the sale had to be approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment, part of the executive branch. So, of course, the deal finally went through, the Clintons were paid off, and it was all quoted over, and the media covered it up saying, oh, there's no scandal, it's just hyperbole. So then we go and we look up some more articles. Washington Post. They acknowledge mistakes in its accounting as a pledge greater transparency. So it's whitewashed by the Washington Post. Everything that they did was okay. Cash flowed to Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal. And it just kind of goes into the same coverage. Then we go and we look on the Chinese side. China has been stealing America's most sensitive nuclear secrets for at least the past several decades, and despite high-level knowledge of the theft, security at U.S. nuclear labs does not meet even minimal standards. So then we start to look into donations to the Clinton Foundation. Chinese company pledged $2 million to Clinton Foundation in 2013. And we go and look. Here's one donor, Ryland Enterprises, pledged $2 million in 2013 to the Clinton Foundation's endowment. The company is a privately held Chinese construction and trade conglomerate and run by billionaire Wang Wenliang, who is also a delegate to the Chinese parliament. So we have the Russian taking payments from Russian banks, basically the Russian government. We go back here, they're getting payments from Chinese billionaires, Chinese government. So everybody's got them in their back pocket. Here was a poor guy that didn't realize, was foolish. He thought he could get protection in a U.S. consulate, and he was turned over to the Chinese authorities and probably is in some prison being tortured and starved to death or having his organs pulled on him. And Clinton turned away high-level Chinese defector to assist Beijing leaders. Well, they made a donation, right, through this company, and now it's all good. But yet, the media is trying to fearmonger, saying a vote for Hillary Clinton is a vote for war with Russia, China, and others. Well, no, not really. Russia and China owns these people, and they're going to do whatever they're told or asked. But it gets worse because the media is completely controlled and paid off by them as well. Dozens in media donated to Clinton Foundation. Two conservative sites will surprise you. So we go down here and look. We start looking at this stuff. $1 million to $5 million donations. We got the New York Times, James Murdoch, Century Fox, Newsmax, Thomson Reuters. Okay, $500,000 to $1 million. Google, News Corporation Foundation, philanthropic arm of former Fox News parent company. $250,000 to $500,000. Pittsburgh Tribune Review. $100,000 to $250,000. Abigail Disney. Bloomberg Philanthropies. CBS News and Sony Executive. 50 to 100,000. We got Bloomberg, Discovery Communications, ABC News, Time Warner, Turner Broadcasting, and it just goes on and on and on. And we go down here, some of the lowball donators. We had, I believe, the Washington Post. Washington Post Company. And then we go back here. Washington Post is also covering for them. So media is completely biased. We go and we look at the Russian. So has this changed? Of course, we look back. This was in 2010 that Bill Clinton got a $1 million payout from the Russian government. We go and we look today. I feel good. Clinton says illness helped her connect with Americans from Russia today. They're completely covering up for her, and a very cozy relationship, and that will be continued at the expense of middle-class jobs and everything else, because they sold themselves out to the Chinese, they sold themselves out to the Russians, and meanwhile Trump is now the outsider being attacked by everybody. Here's a hit piece from Russia Today on Trump because, well, he just wasn't quite yet bribable yet. So that kind of just shows how incredibly corrupt they are and why anybody would vote for them. I mean, I just used, their own articles, and I showed you that these people should be in jail. They've been taking bribes from all around the world. I think it was covered. If I can find it here. Right here, the Clinton Foundation, has raised $42 million from foreign governments, and according to analysis by CBS News, at least $170 million from foreign entities and individuals. They should not be even allowed to even be in this election. That's just criminal fraud in my book. It's nothing more, nothing less. And now, kind of one last thing is how Hillary Clinton uses the poor and disenfranchised, takes it, and how she embeds herself, because she continually peddles how she's for the underclass. But you go back and look at her thesis, but when she was in college, she was a huge fan of a guy named I believe Saul Alinsky. He wrote a book called Rules for Radicals. And you go and you look at this book, Rules for Radicals, various themes. Among them is use of symbol construction to strengthen unity within an organization. He would draw on loyalty to a particular church or religious affiliation to create a structural organization with which to operate. The reason being that symbols by which communities could identify themselves created structured organizations that were easier to mobilize in implementing direct action. Once the community was united behind a common symbol, Alinsky would find a common enemy for the community to be united against. So it was basically like a parasite climbing into into a community and taking control of it, and then it would be played off. And then they would say, okay, we'll turn into a common enemy. And Hillary was such a huge fan of this book, it greatly influenced her. This guy was basically an admitted Marxist. He actually pledged this book to Lucifer, and her senior thesis was on the book. There was only the fight, an analysis of the Alinsky model. So it showed that clearly that book had basically clearly taught her how to play off the disenfranchised and the minorities, to basically use them as control vehicles to attain whatever it is that agenda that she was looking for, which in this case was just further bribes and manipulations and stuff like this. So anyways, I wanted to throw that out there. I really hope that we can get Trump into this White House and get these Clintons out of here. If they get into the White House, everything will be up for sale, including the middle class. They'll dump it. They'll sign off secret agreements. They'll sign off trade partnerships. They will cover up the corruption that is been permeating the U.S. government now for decades. And people really need to, make everybody aware of how corrupt they are. And she just simply shouldn't be there going into that presidency. I mean, even looking past all the medical stuff, her issues, that she's definitely unfit. Anyways, thank you. Bye.